Hello, I'm a Democrat, and I'm running for President of the United States. My voting history shows that I've done everything I can to support our minority groups. I want to end the war against illegal immigration, because, after all, they're citizens too. However, my opponent rejects the idea of such acceptance. He's even been seen stopping Hispanics in the street and accusing them of being illegal. From drafting legislation to give free food stamps and welfare, to personally distracting the Border Patrol for easier passage, I am truly here for the people. I'd like to draft.
Like this too.
And yes, it's true that I voted in favor of funding for Planned Parenthood. I not only advocate, but promote a woman's right to have an abortion. In fact, last week I personally aborted an entire class of third graders. Yet your Republican nominee has been seen at abortion clinics, yelling at rape victims, telling them it was the will of God to bear their child. He has no respect for anyone who isn't also a rich white man, whereas I will give you all free health care, free food, and free abortions. Myself. He forces his religion on an entire nation, whereas I oppose religion in schools and in the home. He tries to portray a healthy marriage, but we all know that's really his sister. On November 6th, vote for a strong woman fighting for you, not an inbred Texan with a spoon-fed Harvard degree and stupid. I'm your Democratic candidate, and I approve this message. Funded by Tampon, the American Minority Political Outreach Network.
Rob Stark. He's the biggest celebrity in the North. But his father was a traitor. He arrested his own mother. His bastard brother deserted the Night's Watch. And he couldn't defend his own castle. Worst of all, Rob Stark hasn't stopped the wildlings from invading our lands and taking our jobs. He even has an illegal alien for a nanny. And now he wants to be king in the North? King? Some people say he's really a wolf. Some people say he eats dead people. We can't wait until it's too late. Send a raven to Winterfell now and tell Rob Stark to go back home. Stop eating dead people and defend the damn wall.
This ad paid for by Crossbows GPS.
Daenerys Targaryen. She says she is the mother of dragons. But would you trust her with your kids? Her father was a maniac. She palled around with Dothraki terrorists. She asked the city of Karth for a government bailout. Then she lost 3 baby dragons after placing them in an unlocked wooden box. An unlocked wooden box. This Khaleesi wants to be queen of the 7 kingdoms, but can she be trusted? Daenerys Targaryen. Wrong for dragons. Wrong for the realm.
Paid for by the Committee to Protect Dragons.
We don't know anything about him.
He was never really vetted.
Is he really the true-born son of Robert Baratheon?
All over the 7 kingdoms, people are asking the same question. Who is the real King Joffrey? The people of Westeros are hurting. Winter is coming. Crop yields are falling, and the price of fuel is going up.
The cost of peat moss is through the thatched roof.
And this young and inexperienced king takes advice from a whoremongering imp and has launched an illegal war in the north. What is King Joffrey hiding? This is not our kind of family values. King Joffrey. What a bastard.
What a bastard.
Paid for by the Young Baratheons for Freedom.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals, because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
Rod Eccles.
Of New Hampshire, where the state motto is "Live free or die." It is not big government or bust. It is Thursday, April the 9th in the year of our Lord 2015, and we are just getting closer and closer, deeper and deeper into the month of April, and we had snow here last night in New Hampshire. Yes, it was enough snow to bring out the plows. I kid you not. They had to bring out the plows in order to, take care of the snow on the roadways. So, but I didn't have to take out my snowblower, because it's going to melt in a few days. I hope. Hopefully, this whole notion of maybe there's a little smidgen of, you get through winters like this, and you kind of hope that there's a little smidgen of truth to global warming, because you want it to warm up. Look, if I wanted it to be this cold and this snowy, this long, I'd live in Alaska. Nothing wrong with living in Alaska. I think I've never been to Alaska. I want to visit Alaska. Alaska looks absolutely beautiful, gorgeous. All the scenery and everything is just breathtaking. But, for all my Alaskan listeners, y'all are just a little bit crazy. I'm just saying. I mean, because what do they get? They really get, 2 months? Not even 2 months of real. Do they even really get a summer up there in Alaska? I mean, does it really get warmer than 70 or 75 degrees? There's no such thing as beach weather in Alaska, I don't think. But, I guess if you're used to living in that kind of environment, then 70 degrees would be the equivalent of, 80 or 90 degrees over here. But if you like Alaska, I'm glad you do. Actually, they may be the last best place on earth besides Texas to go and live. If you want to live the free lifestyle, the liberty lifestyle, Alaska that's still the last frontier. Definitely, that's those people. I watch those programs on Sunday afternoon because there's nothing else on. There's a program called Buying Alaska. I think I've mentioned this before, and it's what people are looking for in Alaska. I mean, it takes a special kind of person, because there's no way in hell people around here are going to be looking for the type of dwellings, houses that they're looking for in Alaska, and they're sure as hell not going to be paying the prices that they're paying in Alaska for those things. I mean, $200,000, $160,000 to $200,000 for a house without running water. But they think that's a good deal. I'm serious. Yeah, that's why I said it takes. That's why I say they're a little bit crazy up there. But you know what? The one thing about Alaska is that those people, the Alaskans, or is it Alaskanites? I don't know. The Alaskans, the people of Alaska, who live in Alaska, love Alaska, they're very self-reliant. They take care of themselves. They really do. They don't depend on anybody. Well, indeed, depending on where they live, unless they're living right in the city propers up there, like Fairbanks or Nome or something, there is nobody to take care of them. There are no government services up there or out there. So they have to be responsible for themselves. And that's the true American way. By the way, if you want to call the show tonight, it's 603-835-3224. That's 603-835-3224. That is a toll-free call, by the way. But, speaking of personal responsibility, there's this issue with, there are people out there, and I'm talking about the liberal left, who seem to believe, for whatever reason, and there are a myriad of reasons for them to feel the way that they feel when it comes to personal responsibility. But the problem isn't those people who want government to take care of people. No, that's not really the problem. On the surface, it is. But when you start peeling back, the layers of onion, if you will. Anybody remember Shrek? Said, ogres are like onions. Onions have layers. Ogres have layers. Well, this whole issue of self-reliance, self-responsibility, and who's at fault has many layers. And trust me, all those layers are just as pungent as an onion. Yeah, those reasons stink. The case is that you have a generation, or two now, where everybody thinks that something is owed to them. I mean, let's face it. They've taken their childhood into adulthood. Now, when you're a child, I was discussing this with a friend earlier today. When you're a child, you think and you speak as a child, obviously. But when you become an adult, you're supposed to think and think as an adult and put those childish ways behind you. The problem is that today's kids, like every generation, well, in the United States, a lot of the last few generations in the United States, the children have been rather spoiled because each successive generation, their children have had it better than their parents did when they were kids. Nothing wrong with that. That is the true human condition. You want your offspring to have it better than you did. That's just the natural yearning of wanting something better for your children and your grandchildren. Everybody wants that. Well, unless there's something wrong with you. Unless you're just a total jerk. But you want your kids and your grandkids to have a better lifestyle, a better education than you did. Well, we've gotten to a point now where it becomes increasingly more difficult to do better than your parents. Because your parents, they've gotten a good education. They've got their bachelor's degrees, probably their master's degrees. Now, they have the big house. It's a 3 or 4 bedroom, 2.5 bath, 2.5 car garage. It's about 2,000 to 2,500 square feet. Parents have got it. Kids, spend a good time of their childhood growing up in a house like that. And a lot of times, even if the parents split up, like divorce, they're still residing in that house. So they still have it better than their parents probably did, because their parents They probably grew up in a much smaller 3-bedroom home. Maybe it had 1 or 1.5 baths. And it was a 1-car garage. You know the type of thing. Think A Christmas Story, a house in Illinois in A Christmas Story. Nice house, but it's not the average house that we think of today. That was very middle class back then. That was even white collar middle class. Today, that's lower in blue collar. And middle class white collar and even middle class blue collar, because some of these plumbers can make 6 figures, but middle class blue, they're living a much better lifestyle. And that's translating over to their kids, and their kids are being spoiled. And their kids are coming to expect to have things. They expect to have the latest new cell phone. They expect to have the brand new tablet or iPad. They expect to have the iPod. They expect to have the latest and bestest and greatest in stereophonic gear. They're expecting to have the next generation of laptop or desktop computer. They got to have the Abercrombie and Fitch. Or whatever the big name of clothing is today, PacSun or something. The places where you go into and you see a hoodie for $100. Yeah, that's what the kids today expect. They expect their parents to give that to them. The problem is that when that kid turns 18 or 23 and they graduate high school or college, they're still expecting that. Now, maybe they're not expecting their parents to give it to them anymore, but they're still expecting somebody to give them that kind of stuff or give them a job that will allow them to keep affording that. There is no notion that they need to earn it, but somebody owes it to them. And they turn to government oftentimes because they blame everybody else but themselves for their failures because they're spoiled brats. They expect everything to be handed to them. They expect everything to be given to them. They expect to start at the middle or the top of the ladder when it comes to work without proving anything. When I get out of college, I'm going to make 6 figures. How are you going to make 6 figures? You haven't proven you can actually do the job. Well, I have a degree. Yeah, so does everybody else. And plus, while you were getting a degree, there were people out there who are actually doing the job that you want, gaining experience in that job. So how are you more qualified than they are? And they're not earning 6 figures. Well, nobody sees that. So when they don't get the job they think they deserve, they want to blame everybody else. They don't want to take personal responsibility. Now, this comes to pass when you start thinking about welfare programs and government. In the liberal mind thought. Hey, why not teach this person to be able to take care of themselves? Well, if you say that, and if you try to do that, you get the race baiters and race pimps like Al Sharpton who will come out and say, oh, no, that's racist. If you want brown people and black people to be responsible for themselves, that's because you're a racist. I mean, this is ludicrous. You have to be responsible for yourself, and the only way that you can be responsible for yourself is to have self-pride. Now, I know that we have all of this stuff in schools about self-esteem, and we try to teach kids, every child is special. Every child is special. You're a special little boy, and you're a special little girl, and you're all special. You're special, and well, if everybody's special, then nobody's special. And believe it or not, kids are starting to pick up on that. If they're looking around and they say, wait a minute, teacher just said I was special. Well, how is, but then she turned on and said Billy was special. Well, how is Billy? No, I'm more special than Billy. Kids are picking up on this. But we adults, especially liberal adults, they don't think that. They don't think kids can pick up on this stuff. Kids are sponges, man. They pick up on everything. It's why a child can often embarrass their parents because all of a sudden, it happens all the time. You're around little kids. You're around a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old or something, maybe even a 2-year-old, and they're learning to talk. And they're learning how to put, more than 2 words together. They're learning how to form a cognizant thought and then espousing that thought through voice, through vocabulary. They're picking up vocabulary at a rapid rate. And the child is talking, everybody thinks kids are so cute. Oh, isn't that cute? They're talking, blah, blah. The kids are blah, blah, blah. And all of a sudden the kid drops the F-bomb. And everybody goes, oh, where did he learn that? Well, look, all the kid has to do is hear mom or dad or aunt or uncle or grandma or grandpa say it once at that age. It's in their brain. They got it, man. So when kids pick up stuff, and they will surprise the hell out of you at the worst possible time that they picked it up. So you keep telling all of these kids at the same time that they're all special. The kid starts to put 2 and 2 together and says, wait a minute. Well, then they start to think to themselves, well, you know what? I know we're all special, but I have to be more special than that guy. I got to be more special than Billy. And this breeds arrogance. And arrogance breeds expectation that is beyond the realm of reality. I'm not making this stuff up. This is Child Psychology 101, folks. And we've been doing this since the 80s. So is it any wonder that we've got a group of people now, a demographic, that thinks everything should be handed to them? And if they don't get what they want, they're going to huff, they're going to puff, they're going to pout, they're going to stay at home in mom and dad's basement until they get what they want. And poor mom and dad, the good old baby boomers, well, first of all, they're half burnt out from smoking all the pot and doing all the LSD back in the 60s, and now they're just ready to become grandparents, but they don't think they're going to become grandparents anytime soon because little Johnny won't leave the basement. And so now they're stuck paying off their mortgage, paying off their kids' college education loan bills, because now they're strapped with those too. And they're still, running around trying to save enough to retire on, and then realize when they go to their accountant, the accountant says, I'm sorry, Johnny Sr. and Mary, you're not going to be able to retire at 62 or 62 and a half like you originally planned. You're going to have to go until you're like 68 because Johnny Jr. is stuck in your basement. And these parents, they're either too scared or too ashamed to hold their children accountable. And so this breeds even more expectation. And then what do you get? You get a bunch of little brats that are now 18 to 23 years old running around on Wall Street, Occupy Wall Street, thinking they know everything, demanding to have jobs, demanding to have stuff given to them, without even thinking that they need to earn it. Because the expectation is that they're not responsible personally. Oh, no, folks. You're responsible. You've got the welfare class. You try to tell them, you can make it on your own. Oh, no, don't even try to tell them that. They will give you every excuse and every reason in the book why they are stuck in public housing in the ghetto. And not one of those reasons or excuses is centered on them. It's all external, no internal. And it doesn't stop there in the poor neighborhoods. You go to the upper middle class and the rich neighborhoods, and those little brats, because they have exceptional income in their parents, they're even more self-centered. They even expect even more, and they blame others more. A little Johnny, Johnny Sr. gives Johnny Jr. when the kid turns 18 and graduating from high school, he gives him a new Mustang. Johnny Jr. takes a Mustang and is out there street racing. And he wraps it around the tree. But what happens to Johnny Jr.? Johnny Jr. wants to blame the cat that jumped out in front of him, not himself for doing 60 in a 30-mile-per-hour zone. No. It's not Johnny Jr.'s fault for doing something stupid. It's that cat's fault. And not only is it the cat's fault, it's the cat owner's fault for letting the cat out. Look, I'm not making this stuff up, folks. And if you've been paying attention over the past few years, you know I'm not making this up. This is reality. And yet we have liberals and a government mentality that wants to keep perpetuating this kind of stuff. They're not, liberals are not giving this stuff up. They're doubling down on it. Oh, we need to spend more money on social programs, on welfare, because, we're not spending enough. Look at these people who are still poor. They're still living in dilapidated government housing. Well, whose fault they're living in dilapidated government housing? The government's supposed to be taking care of government housing, right? They're supposed to be keeping it up and repairing it, and they're not. And they get so bad that the only thing that the government can do is do what? Tear it down. And when they go to tear it down, what do you have? People say, they're tearing down my house. How come they're tearing down my house? Well, honey, it's not your house. It's not. Go out and buy your own dang house. I can't buy my house because the government well, it ain't the government. It's because that rich man down the street over there that owns that business, he won't pay me $20 an hour. Well, do you do more than just flip burgers and fry the fries? Do you have any skills? No, I don't need no skills. I'm a good person. I know I can do any job they ask me to do. If they just give me a chance, I know I can. But you have no qualifications. Well, it ain't my fault I don't have no qualifications. Well, why didn't you go to school? I did, but they weren't teaching me nothing, so I dropped out. They're making an excuse. Again, this is not stuff I'm making up. And the government doubles down on this stuff. Check this out. This is the story I meant to bring to you yesterday. The Washington Free Beacon. The federal government considers Puerto Ricans. Now, Puerto Ricans are U.S. citizens because Puerto Rico is an American possession. It's not a territory, it's a possession. So Puerto Ricans are full-bred American citizens. They get to vote, for president. They get a say in our federal government. The feds consider Puerto Ricans disabled. Puerto Ricans, Americans, they consider them disabled because they speak Spanish and not English. That is the reason for their disability. The government has just said that they're going to give them 95% of Puerto Ricans who speak Spanish are going to get Social Security benefits or can apply for Social Security benefits because they have a disability that has been determined by the government. The reason is they cannot speak English. It's just as bad as you saying, okay, you want to sit down and eat 5 hamburgers every day, and you end up weighing 500 pounds. Well, the government says, well, now that you're obese, deathly obese, well, it's not your fault. You have a fat disability. So we're going to give you this, this cute little card that lets you park up front, and you're going to get Social Security benefits and this kind of benefit. Well, how about the person just lose some weight? Oh no, Rod, that's just mean and cruel. Well, their health will improve. They will save on medical bills. They will save on a lot of other things as well if they improve their health. That's just mean, Rod. How can you be so cruel? It's not their fault they're fat. I don't know. Last time I checked, I didn't shovel the food in their mouth. Last time I checked, I'm not the one that dropped out of school. Last time I checked, it's not me who forced little Johnny to drive down a 30-mile-per-hour a zone doing double the speed limit. That's not my fault either. But you're telling me because all of that happened, it is my fault. And it's my fault that I don't want to pay for them. I'm just mean and cruel. I think it's mean and cruel that you keep telling these people that it's not their fault so that you feel better about giving them a handout. That's worse. That's not better. That's cruel. That's evil. That's inhumane. And all it is another form of slavery. Don't doubt me.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are...
Come on down to the newest pub in Texas, Rednecks, where our beer kegs are always full. Don't ask what brand it is, because it all tastes like warm piss. So if you're celebrating a special occasion, like marrying your sister,
I do.
I did, or being named Employee of the Month at Walmart, you're going to want to come celebrate with us at Redneck's Bar and Cantina. And remember, every Friday and Saturday, we have our famous tooth contest. Whoever has the most teeth wins a pair of John Deere mud flaps and a buttery corn on the cob. There's plenty of parking space to drive your house over to Redneck's and come on in and have a hell of a time. We're located right next to Big Al's truck stop, right across the street from the KKK headquarters.
Homos and minorities not welcome.
In a world where beer is served warm and flat, there is only one hope for beer drinkers. The Wooden Tap Bar and Grill presents Perfect Tap, an epic invention that ensures your favorite draft beer tastes better here than it does anywhere else. Critics call Perfect Tap mesmerizing. This is the way draft beer is supposed to taste. If you drink just one beer this year, make sure it comes from Perfect Tap. Now pouring exclusively at all 4 Wooden Tap locations. Wooden Tap! Come as you are.
Ripper the Clown may be a cartoon character come to life, but do you trust him with your votes on November 4th? Ripper the Clown wants to be mayor, sheriff, comptroller, and senator of Ripper County, but in a recent debate, he admitted that he didn't even know what a comptroller was. And then he offered free gas cards and fast food gift certificates to anyone who voted for him. He also offered free autographed copies of his new award-winning zombie novel, The Life and Minds, and Zombie Apocalypse of Ripper the Clown for those who cast votes in his favor. These are all violations of America's occasionally enforced voting laws. Do you want this inexperienced and sneaky clown with his finger on the button? Don't vote for Ripper the Clown. Paid for by people who hate Ripper the Clown. The people who hate Ripper the Clown are responsible for the content of this ad.
Let's talk about Bob Sweeney, Lambert, Bentonhausen, Kavanaugh, Rope Puller, Havisham, McDougal, Subway, Bentley, Kavanaugh, Buffalo, Nickel, Jones, Rosenberg, Radio Frequency, Smith. What do you know? Did you know that he's a naval hero? He single-handedly fought the Battle of Trafalgar in the waiting pool at the community center, freeing us from French tyranny. Did you know that he's an adventurer? Fighting the elements, he climbed Mount Everest in the frozen food section of the local grocery store to prove that anyone can achieve their dreams. He's a humanitarian. He found another cure for smallpox when, on a rainy day, climbed his aluminum ladder to the power lines to rescue a stray sperm whale. An energy pioneer. He discovered an unyet-named natural resource when he chewed the gum from underneath all the tables at the local pizza joint. And did you know that the only salary he takes is a few pieces of string, peat moss, and the occasional crow feather? Naval hero, adventurer, humanitarian, energy pioneer, and philanthropic volunteer. That's Bob Sweeney, Lambert, Bentonhausen, Kavanaugh, Rope Pillar, Havisham, McDougal, Subway, Bentley, Kavanaugh, Buffalo, Nickel, Jones, Rosenberg, Radio Frequency, Smith. On Tuesday, remember to punch number 7 and vote for Bob Sweeney, Lambert, Bentonhausen, Kavanaugh, Rope Puller, Havisham, McDougal, Subway, Bentley, Kavanaugh, Buffalo, Nickel, Jones, Rosenberg, Radio Frequency, Smith for Village Idiot. He's what this city needs to feel better in the eyes of the world.
Paid for by the Friends of Bob Sweeney, Lambert, Bentonhausen, Kavanaugh, Rope Puller, Havisham, McDougal, Subway, Bentley, Kavanaugh, Buffalo, Nickel, Jones, Rosenberg, Radio Frequency, Smith.
Media.
303-835-3224 if you wish to speak to yours truly, your level of Hotel Rod, on this show this evening. Hey, look, we are, little announcement, we are going to be parting ways with what is known as Blog Talk Radio. And we will most likely be picking up with something that is known as Spreaker. And there are many reasons behind it. Obviously, if you listen to the show on a regular basis, you know that I also broadcast on other networks. And I'm on CPR tomorrow evening, for example. On CPR is a live broadcast. And you'll notice quite strikingly the sound quality difference. Now, as I continue to expand my syndication, going to adding more and more stations and networks on a weekly basis, and we have some that we'll be adding starting next week, and we'll make those announcements later on. But I need for the sound quality to be better, and it needs to be a little bit more reliable. Now, don't get me wrong. There's BTR, a.k.a. Blog Talk Radio, is very good at what they do. But now I think that the program is graduating beyond what they can do and provide. Now, of course, all my archived episodes will still be here for anybody to be able to go back and give a listen. And I have nothing but good things to say about BTR, but there are just certain issues that I think that the time has come. We've grown past what BTR can give us. And that's fine. That's a good thing. I guess you could say that now I'm graduating to something bigger and better. And so we're moving on to different places, different networks, and hopefully, things will obviously sound better, be easier. And as we continue to grow, we'll be looking at other things, other systems, other networks, to always constantly improving. Because look, if BTR doesn't meet my needs, if any particular network doesn't meet my needs, is it their fault? No, I can sit here and curse them out all day long, but it means that I have expectations or needs that they just cannot fill. It's not their fault because they have a good product or service, and it obviously works for the people who like to use it. It's my fault for using a service that doesn't meet my needs. It's my responsibility to go out and find something that better fits my needs. And just as it's your, hey, if you go out and buy a car and something is wrong with the car, or you don't like the car, and so you don't like the car, but you bought it. You went into the store, the automobile dealership, the car store, depending on where what part of the country you're in, and you bought a car. You saw a car. The salesman talked to you about it, told you all the nice stuff about it, all the features, blah blah blah, and you decided to sign on the dotted line and buy that car. And you drive it off the lot. You're all happy-go-lucky, driving away, brand new car, love the new car smell. And then like 6 months later, you think to yourself, this car sucks. This car doesn't do what I want it to do. So in other words, you went in, you knew what you needed a car to do for you, an automobile. So you bought a small 2-door. Well, maybe you needed a 4-door. A bigger car. But you bought this 2-door small car, and now all of a sudden, it's not doing what you expected it to do, but it wasn't built to do what you expected it to do. And instead of you saying, well, I should have looked more, I should have done more research. No, what's the first thing most people do today? That salesman talked me into buying this. That is what most people do. That's the first thing that they say when they're dissatisfied. That salesman talked me into this. No. The salesman didn't talk you into anything. They can't talk you into anything that you don't want. If you are that weak, then, well, maybe you do need somebody to take care of you. It's your responsibility for buying it's just like these kids going out and getting these useless college degrees. Now, I've spoken about this before. Hey, you get a college degree in underwater European historical art, and you get a master's degree in it. Well, what kind of job are you going to get? Are you going to use that degree on? Nobody's going to hire you with that degree because they're going to look at that degree and say, well, when did they create? Well, it's a new degree, man. They just created it like 6 years ago. Well, there's no need for it. It doesn't help you run a business. It doesn't help you do a particular type of job. So nobody's going to offer you a job with that kind of a degree. But now, for instance, there is a real degree of out there at many colleges now called International Women's Studies. You can get a bachelor's degree in that. Well, what kind of job is that preparing you for? And so because you picked a stupid, worthless, useless degree of which you could have researched before you signed up for all the classes and declared your major, you could have done the research to see how many jobs are available for people with this kind of degree. That information's out there, especially with the internet. There's no excuse for you not to know. I mean, if you get a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, let's say well, let's pick a real vocation. PE teacher, physical education. You go out and get a master's degree in physical education. Well, you can go out there, look at government stats to see how many new openings are expected over the next year, 2, 3 years. And you can determine if you think there's enough openings that gives you a shot of getting one of them before you decide to take on that major and spend all that money. No. They don't do that. No, they go out and they get these useless degrees without doing their due diligence. They spend all this money, and then they want to turn around and say, well, we can't find a job in our field, so we're not going to pay back our loans. Well, I'm sorry. You agreed to pay back the loan. You spent the money. You used the money. You got an education. Too bad if it's not the one that you wanted. That's your fault. You got the wrong degree. You got the wrong education. Well, here's an education for you. Sometimes you have to pay for your mistakes. We all do. It's nobody else's fault. It's nobody else's fault that you got a degree in underwater historical European art. It's nobody else's fault that you went out there and got a degree in international women's studies. Nobody forced you to take that. You did it on your own. You're the one that spent the $200,000 to get a bachelor's degree in international women's studies. Guess what? You own a useless degree, but you still have to pay the bill. Not my fault. It's not even the college's fault for offering the program. It's the student's fault, plain and simple. It's called personal responsibility. But here's a story, though, speaking of big education. And I say big education. Let me explain this to you briefly. Look, you got the left out there that talks about big oil and big retail. You know, when they talk about the large companies like ExxonMobil or like Walmart, and it's big oil, big education. You know, big gas. You know, they give them these monikers as if it's a negative. And anytime a company is big, you know, whatever big is to them, they call it big, that industry, big this and big that, like big oil. But not once do I ever hear them refer to, you know, a big healthcare, big medicine, you know, big insurance. But not once do they say big education. Well, I'm sorry, if you're charging a kid $250,000 for a 4 or 6 year degree, and your school has thousands of these students, I think that's a big education. That's a big business. You're talking about making millions of dollars per year. That's a big business. And don't misunderstand or misconstrue that college and universities, private colleges and private universities, that is a business. They are trying to make a profit. But you never hear them refer to it as big education. College tuition can, over the past 20 years, some of those years has outpaced the growth of medical costs. Oh, but that's fine. And you get people like Elizabeth Warren that come along and say, well, you know what? It's not Harvard's fault that they charge you $200,000. It's the bank's fault that they charge you 6% on the loan instead of 3%. I don't know. I don't think that 3% on $200,000 is really going to make that much of a difference. It really isn't. But because these kids really can't do any math, they can't figure that one out. They really can't. But somebody tells them, oh, you're going to save hundreds of dollars a month. That's a lie, because they still got to pay back $200,000 plus interest. Sure, there's going to be a break, but when you do the math and you finish paying the entire loan off, you're going to notice really there isn't that much of a difference over a 20 or 30-year payback on a monthly basis. Sure, it adds up, but they're not going to save hundreds of dollars a month on their college repayment bills. And they never blame big education for it. It's always the banks, or it's always the evil person that doesn't want their taxes to be raised so that, there can be more government grants given out. Oh, no, it's always somebody else's fault. It's not the student's fault for choosing that school. No. They could go to a less expensive school. They could even do something called piggybacking, where, you go to a 2-year community or local college or public school. You get an associate's, or maybe it is a 4-year school, but you go there for 2 years. You get the equivalent of an associate's, and then you transfer the last 2 years to a bigger school so you can get that bachelor's or master's degree with the big name. You'll save a ton in tuition costs, but no, they can't do that. And it's somebody else's fault that they can't go 4 years to Harvard. Man, I got to go 2 years to the community college before I can go 2 years to Harvard? That's not fair. Whose fault is that? It's not mine. Well, yeah, it is. You can do something about it. If you're going to go get the loans, then don't complain you got the loans. Nobody's forcing you. But here's a story from townhall.com about big education. Is the modern American university a failed state? Let me answer that briefly for you. Yes. Modern American universities used to assume 4 goals, and this is a piece that was written by Victor David Hanson, by the way. I'm sure for many of you out there, that's a very familiar name. Victor David Hanson. And for those of you in Rush Limbaugh's Ria Linda, if you don't understand or know how to spell Hanson, just think of first name, was it Nick? Wasn't there music? There was a teeny bopper boy band called the Hanson, right? Yeah, same thing. I'm sure now you know how to spell it. Modern American universities used to assume 4 goals. First, their general education core taught students how to reason inductively and imparted an aesthetic sense through acquiring knowledge like that of Michelangelo, the Battle of Gettysburg, Medea, the King Lear, Shakespeare, Beethoven, astronomy, geometry. This is what you expected to learn when you went to an institute of higher learning. You expected to learn stuff you didn't learn in high school and grade school. You expected to expand on what you learned in high school and grade school. You expected to learn learn about the bigger picture out there of the world. In science, mathematics, all that kind of stuff. That's what you went to college for, so you could learn all this wonderful stuff. Second, campuses encourage edgy speech and raucous expression. You used to go to college. The cutting edge of societal expression was on college campi all over the country. I mean, you know, you were young, you had so much energy, you believed passionately whatever you believed in, and you expressed it, and you weren't ashamed to express it. And colleges, they pretty much encouraged you to express it and explore those expressions. They said, go ahead. You know, take what you're feeling and your passion, explore it, expand on it, learn about it. Make it real. Exposure to all sorts of weird ideas and mostly unpopular thoughts. College talk was never envisioned as boring or politically correct. Oh, no. College in my day was not politically correct. Everybody, you know, had their ideas. You know, we were all just learning about the world. We were learning about ourselves. We were learning about each other. We were learning about the world. And as we talked and we debated and we discussed, we learned more and more about ourselves and each other and the world at large around us. We learned in college that, you know, the world doesn't revolve around us, each of us individually. We learned we were just a small part in a very big human cog. Learned about life. No, college never was intended to give you experience in life, but it was to teach you about life so you were more prepared for it when you went out to experience it. Third, 4 years of college trained students for productive careers. Implicit was the university's assurance that its degree was a wise career investment. In other words, you actually studied real degrees. You got a bachelor's in engineering, real engineering. You got a bachelor's in architecture. You got a bachelor's in accounting, or you got a bachelor's in real business management. But finally, you didn't get a bachelor's in underwater historical European art. And finally, the fourth thing, universities were not monopolistic price gougers. They sought affordability to allow access to a broad middle class that hid neither the federal subsidies nor lots of money. So there was a time, and if you go back to the founding, especially of all of the Ivy League schools, they were meant to be for the masses. They were meant to be institutes that anybody could get to, could afford, that just about anybody could afford to go to and to get ahead in life. Because if you educated your populace, your country was going to be better. There was an expectation of the colleges to be affordable, as well as there was an expectation by the colleges for the student to be prepared to learn. A bachelor's degree is no longer proof that any graduate can read critically or write effectively. National college entrance test scores have generally declined the last few years, and grading standards have as well. This is to meet the falling grades and test scores of our grade school and high school students. They cannot pass the same test that their parents passed. This is not speculation, this is fact. Kids graduating high school today, most of them cannot pass the SATs that their parents took. So therefore, yes, the college educational system has to be dumbed down. This is why a few years ago, even Harvard and Yale developed programs to attract homeschool kids. Why? And Harvard said it best, because the homeschool kid is better educated, more well-rounded, and more disciplined than the public school kid. So in other words, a professor doesn't have to, take class, History 101 and make it History 91. He doesn't have to bring the homeschooler or the private schooler up to code, so to speak. Oh, because these kids are already ready. But the vast majority of our college students are public school educated. They're not ready for prime time. No, they're not. They're not even ready for the minor leagues. Local community colleges and local cheaper state colleges all complain about kids who cannot read or write proficiently. But yet and still, the colleges, the universities, the private institutions still want to charge all this money. And then the student wants to blame the or blame everybody else but themselves in the college for not having a real education or getting a real degree. Because hey, look, all they're doing is they're going to the college kid and they're saying, hey, you know, let's make college a little bit more enticing to you. We know that engineering is tough. Engineering is really, really tough. It's hard. There's a lot of math and stuff in there. And let's face it, you don't really know math, right? Yeah, you have trouble with it. So how about we give you a college education and a college degree from Harvard? We'll give you a bachelor's degree. You can take this new topic, this new program, this new baccalaureate program called Underwater European Historical Art. And you're going to graduate with a bachelor from Harvard. How would you like that? And the kid is stupid enough to say, without doing any investigation, says, yeah, that sounds cool, man. That is really, I'm going to have a piece of paper from Harvard that says I'm smart. And so Harvard says, here you go, sign in the dotted line. Your 4-year college education, tuition, room, and board is going to cost you about $200,000 to $250,000. How does that sound? Because if you have a Harvard degree, you're going to make that back in spades, man. You're going to make $1 million. $250,000 to make $1 million? Oh, that's a perfect deal. I'll take it. And then, unlike the car salesman who gets blamed for selling you a car that you think you didn't want, the college student is then going to blame the bank for giving them the money for going to the college that taught them a fake degree. I don't know about you, but yeah, I think all 4 of those pillars that Victor David Hanson just mentioned, oh yeah, those were tossed out the window. They're gone. They're done. Hey, let's just see how we can bilk these stupid kids who are narcissistic and self-centered and think the world revolves around them. Let's see how much money we can bilk them for. But, hey, we're still going to get our money because the bank is going to pay us, the government is going to pay us, and then when they get out in the real world and can't find a job, they'll just make the taxpayer foot the bill. But the college will still win in the next 4 years. For the next group of kids, we're going to raise the tuition on them. Yeah, we're really going to get them, and we'll create another fake degree program to entice them. Folks, that's the way it works. Don't doubt me.
Hello, I'm a Democrat, and I'm running for President of the United States. My voting history shows that I've done everything I can to support our minority groups. I want to end the war against illegal immigration because, after all, they're citizens too. However, my opponent rejects the idea of such acceptance. He's even been seen stopping Hispanics in the street and accusing them of being illegal. From drafting legislation to give free food stamps and welfare, to personally distracting the Border Patrol for easier passage, I am truly here for the people. I'd like to draft.
Like this too.
And yes, it's true that I voted in favor of funding for Planned Parenthood. I not only advocate, but promote a woman's right to have an abortion. In fact, last week I personally aborted an entire class of 3rd graders. Yet your Republican nominee has been seen at abortion clinics, yelling at rape victims, telling them it was the will of God to bear their child. He has no respect for anyone who isn't also a rich white man, whereas I will give you all free health care, free food, and free abortions. Myself. He forces his religion on an entire nation, whereas I oppose religion in school and in the home. He tries to portray a healthy marriage, but we all know that's really his sister. On November 6th, vote for a strong woman fighting for you, not an inbred Texan with a spoon-fed Harvard degree and stupid. I'm your Democratic candidate, and I approve this message. Funded by Tampon. the American Minority Political Outreach Network.
Rob Stark. He's the biggest celebrity in the North, but his father was a traitor. He arrested his own mother. His bastard brother deserted the Night's Watch, and he couldn't defend his own castle. Worst of all, Rob Stark hasn't stopped the wildlings from invading our lands and taking our jobs. He even has an illegal alien for a nanny. And now he wants to be king in the North? King? Some people say he's really a wolf. Some people say he eats dead people. We can't wait until it's too late. Send a raven to Winterfell now and tell Rob Stark to go back home. Stop eating dead people and defend the damn wall.
This ad paid for by Crossbows GPS.
Daenerys Targaryen. She says she is the mother of dragons. But would you trust her with your kids? Her father was a maniac. She palled around with Dothraki terrorists. She asked the city of Karth for a government bailout. Then she lost 3 baby dragons after placing them in an unlocked wooden box. An unlocked wooden box. This Khaleesi wants to be queen of the 7 kingdoms, but can she be trusted? Daenerys Targaryen. Wrong for dragons. Wrong for the realm.
Paid for by the Committee to Protect Dragons.
We don't know anything about him.
He was never really vetted.
Is he really the true-born son of Robert Baratheon?
All over the 7 kingdoms, people are asking the same question. Who is the real King Joffrey? The people of Westeros are hurting. Winter is coming. Crop yields are falling, and the price of fuel is going up.
The cost of peat moss is through the thatched roof.
And this young and inexperienced king takes advice from a whoremongering imp and has launched an illegal war in the north. What is King Joffrey hiding? This is not our kind of family values. King Joffrey. What a bastard.
What a bastard.
Paid for by the Young Baratheons for Freedom.
On the battlefield, there's a saying America's military men and women live by. Never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Off the battlefield, Wounded Warrior Project operates with the same goal. We leave no warrior behind. Wounded Warrior Project is a non-profit organization created to help our men and women returning home with the scars of war. Whether those scars are physical or mental, we're here to make sure that they heal. And whether it's helping those with post-traumatic stress disorder live a normal life again, or giving much-needed support to injured warriors in veterans' hospitals, because no one deserves our help more than the men and women who risk their lives to keep us safe. Wounded Warrior Project. We never leave a fallen warrior behind. Ever. Learn more about what we do at woundedwarriorproject.org.
The following letters were written by our troops.
My dear fellow Americans, I truly appreciate your support. I was starting to wonder if people had forgotten about us over here, but then one of my buddies showed me this website, and now as tears are streaming down my face, I can see for sure that you haven't. Private Emily B., U.S. Army.
It's so heartwarming to see the American people not letting the men and women of the armed forces be forgotten. Your letters make a group of grown men, battle-hardened and gruff, act like a bunch of kids around a Christmas tree. Thanks. Staff Sergeant Matthew H., U.S. Army.
Your support may be the most important thing our troops can carry with them. But don't take our word for it. Take theirs. To show your support, visit americasupportsyou.mil. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Defense and the Ad Council.
You want government life? Do you want your mom and dad living your life? Do you want somebody else living your life? So they can't give you anything. They can't give you enough. Well, I suppose if you're one of those kids who have a trust fund, then maybe you probably do have enough money given to you to live your own life. But other than that, you can't live your life being restricted by government standards and goals. You really can't. So you're responsible for your own life. Do you want to sit and wallow in self-pity, blaming others, and live in your parents' basement, or do you want the kind of house or bigger house than your parents have and buy those expensive cars? Well, you got to take some personal responsibility and go out and get it, because the government isn't going to give you a 3,000 square foot house with a 2.5 car garage with a Mercedes and a BMW in the stalls. Not going to happen. Hello, my fellow Americans. It is I, your lovable host, Rod, coming to you live from my bunkerized home studio somewhere within the great state of New Hampshire, where the state motto is still live free or die. It is not big government or bust. And I know this because I checked again today, as I check every day. Today is Thursday, April the 9th in the year of our Lord 2015. As we are getting ready to slide on into the weekend, I'm excited about this weekend coming up. Let me tell you. Yes, can you guess? Oh, yeah, it's going to be a beautiful weekend. Well, it's going to be a beautiful Sunday evening because, of course, there's another second of only 7 episodes remaining in Mad Men. Love me some Mad Men. And the season premiere of, Game of Thrones. I'll be in heaven until around the end of May, as far as TV watching is concerned. And then, then I'll have to look for something else. I don't watch a lot of TV. You know what? Because I take personal responsibility for myself, so there's a lot of things I have on my plate that I like to do. I know I have to do. So I'll do those. I don't have to. I'm not going to sit in front of the boob tube and let TV rot my brain for 4, 5, 6 hours or more per day. Ain't nobody got time for that. The number that you can call this evening if you wish to speak to me live is 603-835-3224. It is a toll-free number. And if you call that number, hopefully I will see you on my switchboard and put you through to me. We got the, speaking of personal responsibility, what personal responsibility also means understanding facts. Nobody can make you believe facts, but facts are facts. They're not going to, the truth of the truth is not going to change whether you like it or not. Look, I understand the saying, a man convinced against his will is of the same opinion still, but hey, it is a really stupid man that ignores facts. Really. I'm not talking about statistics because there's also another saying about statistics. There are lies, damn lies, and then there are statistics. So there you go. I'm talking about facts. And in this case, scientific fact. And the scientific fact is that there's no such thing as man-made global warming. There isn't. Look, the Earth is just going to do what Mother Nature is going to do what she's going to do. We're not influencing it in any great manner, one way or the other. We are little ants, peons, compared to Mother Nature. She's going to blow her top in volcanoes. She's going to be a blowhard with tornadoes and hurricanes, and there's nothing we can do to stop them. Plain and simple. We're not making them worse. I know we were told that, things are just, Katrina was just the first of many, many Category 4 and Category 5 hurricanes that were going to be coming at us. They were going to pound, the Caribbean, and they were going to pound the East Coast, and it was all, it was going to be the equivalent of hell breaking loose on the planet. And the typhoons over there on the eastern side of the planet, Asia. Oh man, we're going to see deaths in the millions. And then in hurricanes that we're going to start slamming the West Coast. I mean, we will be so inundated with natural disasters. We're going to see F4 and F5 tornadoes all over the place. They were going to expand from, Tornado Alley. They were going to, not just Kentucky and down into Arkansas area. Oh, no. We're going to see them in New England and in Michigan and up towards the Rockies. Oh, yeah, the weather was going to turn on mankind like you would not believe. And what has happened? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. Oh, yeah, hey, out west there's a drought going on. But it's not like it's never happened before. And there is evidence that there are some deserts around the planet are actually shrinking, not growing. Well, if there's global warming, your desert isn't going to shrink. But here's another story. This is from the UK Daily Mail about. Oh, look, this is really going to start affecting you. These people are just they're so annoying with this that it's frightening. But they are not going to get. The left doesn't give up. They keep going after you until they get what they want, either through because they can't convince you. So they're going to get what they want either through legislation or through taking you to court and getting a judge to write law from the bench. Which is unconstitutional, by the way. But this has been their tactic for the last 40 years. If they don't get their way by convincing you, and then convincing you to elect the quote-unquote right people who believe in their nonsense too, then they're going to take you to court and get a judge, or they're going to browbeat some legislators until they decide to write a law. And then if the legislator thinks that he's going to write a decent law, they're going to lobby hard, and spend tons and tons of cash. They're going to threaten. They're going to browbeat those legislators until that law, which might have been good, gets twisted into something that is absolutely horrific and evil. Hey, don't doubt me on this next story. If you're not going to start seeing some changes in the medical industry because of this. And it's not going to be good for humans, folks. It's really not. Anesthetics, the stuff that, people are going to surgery and stuff, anesthetics. From your dentist to your operating table in the ER or OR. Anesthetic is warming the planet. Gases used to knock out patients doing various types of surgery are contributing to climate change. I kid you not. Big, bold headline in the UK Daily Mail, co.uk. Gases used in anesthetic are accumulating in the Earth's atmosphere. The gases delflurane, isoflurane, and sevoflurane have a greenhouse effect that is 2,500 times more potent than carbon dioxide, say climate warming scientists. New study finds that their concentrations are relatively low but are increasing. Oh, yeah, that's how it always starts. Well, they're just so low. They're low now. But it's kind of like the CFCs, the chlorofluorocarbons. Oh, yeah, they're low now. Oh, but they're gonna just because we're using them so much, they're just gonna explode up there in the upper atmosphere and punch hole after hole after hole in our atmosphere and allow all this sun's radiation down to bake us. Oh yeah, we gotta stop using CFCs. I'm surprised they were not out there trying to get. Well, they are trying to get us to cut back on CO2. Carbon dioxide, but hey, you got 7.5 billion people on the planet and all the animals out there that create carbon dioxide. The only way you're going to cut back in carbon dioxide is not just by cutting back on cars, by the way, but it's cutting back in population. And don't think that that's not one of their goals. There are too many people on the planet. Planet can't handle that many people. No, it can't. I mean, if you listen to some of these socialist Marxist idiots that are even in and populate some of the departments in the Obama administration. They believe that the maximum number, ideal number of people alive at one time on the planet is about 2 billion. That's the max. Not 7.5. Do you realize that some of these people literally actually advocate erasing 5.5 billion people off the planet? They do. And yet they want to say that the right side are warmongers. Well, unless you're going to just, systematically do what the Nazis did and gas chamber people, how else are you going to reduce the population by 5.5 billion people? You got to have war. Plain and simple. You know how long it's going to take to reduce the population if you only limit the entire world's parents or having one kid? Hey, that's going to eliminate divorce too, by the way, if they decide to go. Because how are you going to measure it? Well, they got one kid, then they get divorced, and dad marries a woman that doesn't have a kid. Well, you can't have half a kid, so does dad get to have another one? Well, no, dad's already got one. Yeah, but she doesn't. Well, how are you going to monitor that? Well, don't get divorced. Well, that would, hey, the left doesn't seem to like marriage anyway. No, go ahead. It doesn't matter why you want a divorce. Don't work on your marriage. Just go out there and get divorced anyway. Don't get me wrong. I mean, some people probably do need to split up. There are truly some mistakes, but I believe that people just don't. At least one side. Oh, it takes two to tango. And if one of you doesn't want to try, what are you going to do? But they're able to get out. I don't want to try anymore. I just want a divorce. Well, we can go to counseling. No, I don't want to do that. Well, we can talk about it. Well, I don't want to do that. I just want my freedom. That's all it takes. So he finds that their concentrations are relatively low now, but are increasing. Scientists urge hospitals to find more environmentally friendly alternatives. We always have to find an environmentally friendly. Well, hey, we were told to find a more environmentally friendly source of power. An environmentally friendly source of power generation, creation, if you will. Even though you don't create energy, it just changes form. That's also a scientific fact, but you can't tell that to a liberal. So we do that, and then they say, whoa, wait a minute. Oh, hold on. No. That environmentally friendly way of catching the sun's rays by solar panels for creating electricity, not so good. No, it's not good. But it's not polluting. No, but it's killing little creatures and flowers. That's not so good. Got to cut it out. No, can't use it. Can't build anymore. Can't use the desert. No. Well, something's going on in the desert. Nope, it got little lizards and little flowers out there, and you're going to cover those up. They can't get the sun because the sun's going to be, blocked by those solar panels. You can't do it. You're going to be killing those little lizards. No, that's not good. But it's producing energy that's clean. It's still not good. Okay, so we'll build windmills. Oh, those are noisy. No. They just ruin the view. Okay, we'll build them offshore. That's a good idea. No. Not a good idea. They kill birds by the millions every year. You want all those dead seagulls everywhere? You want to be responsible for seagull genocide? You can't build windmills. But it's clean. It's not polluting. But you're killing the birds. So they're going to come up with an alternative for to be environmentally friendly for an anesthetic, and I'm sure it's probably going to come from a plant, and they're going to say no, you can't. You're going to be farming now this plant so you can make anesthetic. Well, you're going to cut down trees to make farmland so you can grow this plant just to give somebody a drug. That's not good. Don't doubt me. This is how it always happens, folks. They tell you one thing, that you need to go ahead and find something that's environmentally sound and environmentally friendly. And then you go ahead and you create it using environmentally sound techniques, and you find an alternative, and then they turn around and tell you that, oh, no, that's bad too. Because, you're going to displace or kill something. Well, I don't know. Do they expect us just to pull stuff out of the thin air? And I suppose if anybody ever figures out a way to pull some sort of gas out of thin air, they are definitely going to come back and say, no, you're going to upset the balance of the atmosphere if you take it out of the atmosphere. That's not good. Nope. Got to stop. Every time, folks. Every time. Hey, you know what? We're recycling plastic. No, that used to be good, recycling plastic. But, that's an oil product, and that just takes energy to recycle it. And you have some waste, and you got some chemicals that you got to use. So oil, plastic, not good. Okay. So now we have a way to make bioplastic. You can make it out of straw, the grass fibers and corn and stuff like that. Oh, but now you gotta have farms of this stuff, which means you're taking over meadows and you're cutting down trees and clearing land and you're spending all this water to water the farmland. That's not good either. Well, okay, so we'll cut out plastic, and what do we use? Wood? Now you gotta cut down trees to make wood cups? Oh, come on, man, that's not environmentally sound. But you can grow trees. Yeah, but you're going to cut down all the old growth trees. And what you're going to grow are these newfangled trees that aren't as good as the old ones. Chase, look, I know I'm probably being a little overly facetious here, but I'm trying to make the point so that you fully understand that you cannot please anybody on the left. You can't please them. And yet we still try to write laws. We still try to implement certain kinds of legislation and rules and regulations, and it never pleases the left. Because there's always something. They always are quick to point out a fault, but it's rare that they ever come up with a solution. You go and ask them, hey, why don't you just help us figure it out? Oh, man, you can't figure it out? We already figured out the problem. Why can't you figure out a solution? Oh, we got to do everything? I mean, that's their attitude. Again, they're not taking any personal responsibility. And by the way, might I add, all those little do-gooders and leftists that were out there on Occupy Wall Street and protesting against corporate America, what was their favorite electronic device? They were Apple products, one of the most valuable corporations on the planet that charges you an arm and a leg for their products. Oh, but that's okay. Because, hey, if they were to protest against Apple, they would be hypocrites, right? And they can't possibly be hypocrites. So having an Apple is okay, but I don't know, if you have that Microsoft thing, MP3, oh no, you have a Sony MP3, oh no, evil corporation there. That's bad. You got to cut that out. No, can't have that. But hey, let's go out and hey, Apple's coming out with a new iPhone. Yeah, it's i5. The i4 just came out 9 months ago. Oh, wow, I got to have the i5. Well, there's nothing wrong with your i4. Yeah, but you got to have the latest and greatest, right? Well, what are you going to do with the i4 if you're going to go and take an i5? Well, they're going to recycle it. But you just told me recycling isn't that good. But if it affects them personally, as if to say, okay, you can't have the i5 because that's bad for the environment, they're not going to buy that. They're not going to listen to that. They're going to call you a naysayer. They're going to call you every name in the book, and you just don't want me to be happy. Oh, you're just an evil, right-wing, bigoted Christian that doesn't want anybody to be happy. When it's not the right, it's the left. The left is miserable. They're never happy. You can never please them, and they don't want anybody else to be happy and pleased either. Because when you come up, and you're on the right most likely, and you come up with a solution, they will find every possible way to skewer that new invention and tell you how bad it is, how horrible it is for the environment, how only a corporation is going to just make tons and tons and tons of money on it. Hey, I've got a new idea for an internet business. Oh, no, you can't do that. The internet should be free for everybody. Well, I'm not talking about the internet. I'm talking about business on the internet. Oh, no, you can't make all that money off the internet. You didn't build the internet. Remember, you didn't build that? You didn't build that. You can't win with these. I don't know why we even try. But you got people like Bonnier and the other Republican leaders that just try to go out of their way to try to compromise and please these people. You can't do it. I know it. They need some of this anesthetic on the left. Let me tell you, we need to put some of them to sleep. I'm only being half facetious, by the way. By the way, I'm sure that is a $10 word that a lot of these college students that earn those fake degrees just did not understand. So anesthetic gases used to send patients to sleep during surgery are accumulating in the Earth's atmosphere where they are contributing to, you guessed it, climate change. Yes, global warming. So understand that when you go to your dentist, or you have to go under the knife, or even just say a walk-in, walk-out surgical procedure, and they give you a little bit of an anesthetic, and you have to breathe in that gas. You know, you go, and you're like laughing gas. Oh yeah, like nitrous oxide. Oh yeah, no. You have to be a good little human being. You're going to have to be a very good human being. Because, you want to reduce your carbon footprint, and believe me, they're going to add anesthesics to your carbon footprint. So in order for you to be a good human being and to have as small a carbon footprint as possible on this wonderful, very delicate, almost out of balance planet, you're going to have to forego your painkiller. So be a tough human and just take the pain. And so you better just go into the dentist, maybe even drink a little bit of whiskey and pour a little bit of whiskey on the place you're going to be cutting or yanking the tooth out, and just grin and bear it, because that way you'll be saving the planet. But I am sure, yes, I am positive that the left is going to find some way, somehow, some reason that you not even taking anesthetic painkillers is still going to be a bad idea for the planet. Don't doubt me.
You shouldn't have to pay to talk to the people closest to you, or the people who used to be. That's why Umbrella Wireless is proud to announce the new Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan. Now you'll get unlimited calls to your best buddy, your mom, or Cindy, once she realizes that you're seriously meant for each other and should stop screening your calls. Now the 30 minutes of agonizing silence where you're both afraid to hang up may drain your battery, but it won't drain your wallet. And you'll get unlimited calls just to check if she still cares enough to pick up, with no extra charges. With the Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, your phone will automatically answer calls from your ex, because maybe she finally realizes that you're the only one for her and wants to get coffee sometime. Now, after lonely nights of looking at pictures of the road trip you took together when everything was great, your misspelled texts are absolutely free. The only thing you have to pay for is the booze. The Friends, Family, and Recent Ex-Girlfriend plan, because she wants you back. She just doesn't know it yet.
Some people have had changes in behavior, hostility, agitation, depressed moods, suicidal thoughts, or actions while using the U.S. government. Some people had these symptoms when they began a phone call or verbal discourse with the U.S. government, and others developed them after several weeks of interaction, but have improved after stopping for 2 or more days. If you or your family notice agitation, hostility, depression, or changes in behavior, thinking, or mood that are not typical for you, or you develop suicidal thoughts or actions, anxiety, panic, aggression, anger, mania, abnormal sensations, hallucinations, paranoia, or confusion, stop all federal government interactions and definitely do not call your doctor, as Obamacare has gone into effect. Also, do not contact the U.S. government if you have any history of depression or other mental health problems, as these symptoms may worsen while trying to get anything done in a timely or efficient manner.
When you can't find anything to watch on cable, you get bored. When you get bored, you listen to radio cooking shows. When you listen to radio cooking shows, you invite a friend over for dinner. When you invite a friend over for dinner, you use twice as many beans. When you use twice as many beans, you expel deadly farts that kill your friend's dog. When you kill your friend's dog, your friend becomes unstable. When your friend becomes unstable, you're sued for everything you're worth. When you're sued for everything you're worth, you're thrown to the streets. When you're thrown to the streets, you devote your life to world domination. When you devote your life to world domination, you become an evil fascist overlord. When you become an evil fascist overlord, old friends plot their revenge. When old friends plot their revenge, you are shot in the back of the head. And when you're shot in the back of the head, you miss your jazzercise appointment. Don't miss your jazzercise appointment. Upgrade to Indirect TV. Go online or call 1-800-DIRECT-TV.
Come on down to the newest pub in Texas, Rednecks, where our beer kegs are always full. Don't ask what brand it is, because it all tastes like warm piss. So if you're celebrating a special occasion, like marrying your sister,
I do.
I did, or being named Employee of the Month at Walmart, you're going to want to come celebrate with us at Redneck's Bar and Cantina. And remember, every Friday and Saturday, we have our famous tooth contest. Whoever has the most teeth wins a pair of John Deere mud flaps and a buttery corn on the cob. There's plenty of parking space to drive your house over to Redneck's and come on in and have a hell of a time. We're located right next to Big Al's truck stop, right across the street from the KKK headquarters.
Homos and minorities not welcome.
Some political watchers are saying this could be the nastiest, most negative election season of all time.
This campaign season seems like candidates have taken dirty to a whole new level.
When pundits start shouting and politicians start calling each other's names, it can seem like a return to civility is not possible. Like the very idea is a relic of some bygone era.
John Adams is a blind, bald, crippled, toothless man who wants to start a war with France. While he's not busy importing mistresses from Europe, he's trying to marry one of his sons to a daughter of King George. Haven't we had enough monarchy in America?
I'm Thomas Jefferson, and I approve this message because John Adams is a hideous, hermaphroditical character with neither the force and firmness of a man nor the gentleness and sensibility of a woman.
If Thomas Jefferson wins, murder, robbery, rape, adultery, and incest will be openly taught and practiced. The air will be rent with the cries of the distressed, the soil will be soaked with blood, and the nation black with crimes. Are you prepared to see your dwellings in flames, female chastity violated, children writhing on a pike?
I'm John Adams, and I approve this message because Jefferson is the son of a half-breed Indian squaw raised on hoe cakes, and Hamilton is a Creole bastard brat of a Scotch peddler.
The nastiest, most negative election.
Candidates have taken dirty to a whole new level.
It can seem like a return to civility is not possible.
Example of democratic extremism, support for the inheritance tax or support for inheritance taxes and tax increases. This is a hot air piece, hotair.com. In 2010-2012, the charge that the GOP was too extreme for the American public was propagated by Democrats and their supporters in the media alike. How times have changed. On Wednesday, Senator Rand Paul showed that he could deftly respond to gotcha questions designed to frame Republicans as fringe and fanatical. Yeah, did everybody see that one? Paul just pretty much turned it on them. They weren't expecting that. And then you have, Wasserman Schultz out there basically advocating murder of babies, unborn children. She said it. Nobody is putting words in her mouth, taking her out of context. She said what she meant, and she meant what she said. She said, in response to Rand Paul saying, hey, restrictions on abortion, he was asked the question about does he support certain restrictions, or what kind of restrictions would he put on abortion? What kind of restrictions does he favor? And he responded by turning the tables. He challenged the press to ask Democrats the same question, and specifically if they favor the death and dismemberment of 7-pound infants in utero. And, of course, Wasserman Schultz says that she believes that there should be no governmental limit on abortion. None. She said it. She meant it. Because this is what the left believes. This is what, hey, look, it's the woman's body, and that little baby, he's someplace he shouldn't ought to be. I mean, that little baby shouldn't be in mommy's belly. That got to get out of there. Who does that kid think he's taking up residency for 9 months? Ruining that mother's body. She'll probably never look the same again. Well, hey, look, if you look at some of the Hollywood stars, I guess a lot of times they look better after they have a kid, which is why some people, question whether some of these Hollywood starlets or music starlets actually carried a child, or if they were faking it and actually had. The question is raised about Beyonce. Did Beyonce really carry little Ivy, whatever her name is, or did she have a surrogate? But hey, that's fine too, I guess, from the left. But they don't want any restriction at all. They want abortion on demand for any reason at all, because hey, you're not murdering a 7-pound infant in the body. No. You're just removing a lump of flesh, remember? That's what they believe. And if you don't think that getting abortion at any time before the kid is naturally born, if you don't think that that's not what they're after, here's a story from prolife.buzz. New York Assembly okays abortion during all 9 months. The New York State Assembly approved a bill that would codify a right to third trimester abortions. Now, right now, New York law does not specifically allow third trimester abortions except when necessary to save the life of a mother. Now, AB 6221 adds a new health exception stating that anything relevant to the well-being of the parent, including physical, emotional, psychological, and familial factors in the mother's age, is grounds for abortion in the third trimester. Pretty much what the wording is saying, pretty much any reason at all is now justifiable for terminating a pregnancy in the 9th month. Did you hear what I said? The New York State General Assembly just okayed a bill that basically states, the wording basically states that just about any reason will do to terminate the pregnancy of a woman in her 9th month. It goes along with what Wasserman Schultz said. Government shouldn't be involved in a woman's womb and should not restrict abortion, any kind of abortion, at any time for any reason. Look, she said it, and she's not the only one. She's not the only one. So, people are, look, you want to talk about extreme. Now, that's pretty darn extreme, if you ask me. And that's pretty horrifying. Well, of course, there are people on the left, and they populate the left, that believe in population limits on the planet, and they're all for abortion because human beings are not human beings. They're just an organism on this planet, like every other organism. They're just an organism. There's no hierarchy of organisms. To them, there isn't. There's absolutely no hierarchy. No. We're not the superior species on the planet. Well, how could we possibly be so arrogant to think that we're better than the bears and the fish, and we're better than the ants and the flies, and we're better than the than the little amoeba and bacterium that run around out there. No, we can't think that. No. We have to live in harmony with the planet. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not advocating that we tear the planet up and turn it into a concrete and tar parking lot. Absolutely not. I believe in conservation. Hey, the Bible tells us that we as Christians are supposed to take care of God's planet. But at the same time, we're on top of the food chain. To put it in colloquial terms, we are the superior species on the planet. If the polar bear was a superior species, there would be 7 billion of them instead of humans. Plain and simple. We're the superior species. No, we're not the biggest. No, we're not the strongest. No, we're not the fastest. We're not the slowest. We're possibly not even necessarily brain function and size-wise the smartest. But I tell you what we are is we're the ones that have learned how to use at least a little bit of what we got to its maximum potential, which is why we're able to create these fantastic civilizations. These cities are absolutely amazing. We're able to create infrastructure that boggles the mind. We figured all this stuff out, and we keep figuring more stuff out as we go along. Every day, we learn something new. No other creature on the planet is doing that. So yeah, we're on the top, baby. We're the superior ones. So that means that, yes, we should be taking care of the planet and taking care of all the lesser creatures, making sure that we do not use and abuse everything in this planet because, hey, we've only got one planet. We got to take care of it. But at the same time, you do not see polar bears out there performing abortions. You don't see fish performing abortions. You don't see lions and tigers, oh my, performing abortions. You don't see dolphins and whales and elephants. People like, these leftists try to tell us that, dolphins and whales and elephants, they're smarter than humans. Well, you don't see, if they're smarter, you don't see them performing abortions. So why is it then that we will accept that, and not only are some accepting it and advocating it, but they're advocating it up until the 9th month? What is a doctor supposed to do in the 9th month when he takes it? The child is, 9th month is very viable. Are they supposed to let the tissue just fall to the floor and let it gasp for air and die? Well, Obama said that once. Yeah, just put it on the table over there. Yeah, don't give it aid. Do not resuscitate. Was meant to be alive because mom said so. So basically what they're doing is they're advocating murder of a child, but I tell you what, they will rally around this Tsarnaev character over in Boston. And they will rally and try to get him, keep him off of death row and give him life in prison. Oh, so we can't kill a criminal who kills people, but we can definitely, it's okay to kill a child that has done nothing yet on this earth. Their only crime is just being in the wrong womb at the wrong time. And you want to tell me that is not extreme? Oh, Rand Paul just delivered a huge blow. That's why they're mad at Rand. Oh, man, he's attacking a woman, a female reporter. And he's going off on a female. Look, I've heard and seen Rand Paul go off on male reporters too. It's no different. He's an equal opportunity go off on a person type of guy. He really is. So, Rod, does that mean you're going to support Rand Paul? No, I'm just telling you the facts and the truth, especially when it pertains to the left, as they're trying to deal with. They can't deal with them. They're having a terrible time dealing with this man. They're having a terrible time trying to deal with Ted Cruz. Look, these are the kind of people that we need out there on the campaign trail on the Republican side, because the left is look, they're trying to attack him and trying to get Rand Paul to explain yourself, and he turned it around and said, "Well, why don't you ask the same damn question of your Democratic brethren? You don't, is what he's saying. And you should, is what he's saying. And so when somebody actually asked one of these demon-crats this question, Wasserman Schultz, she just basically advocated out loud, yeah, kill the human being at any time in the pregnancy. It's fine. Should be no government interference whatsoever. And yet, she was out there before last campaign talking about how extreme Republicans were. Just explain that and talk to your liberal friends about that and see where they land. Ask them the question, hey, where do you think you should stop abortions? Well, you know that the party that you say that you're a part of and the liberals who populate that party, like Wasserman Schultz, advocate abortion up to and including the 9th month of pregnancy. Are you for that? Isn't that a little bit extreme? Isn't it extreme for them to advocate such a position? Isn't it extreme for you to accept that premise? I think it's more extreme than what you're saying and accusing the Republicans of. That's pretty darn extreme. Oh, yeah, well, it is. Hey, this is a story from CNN. If it wasn't so devastating, it would be funny. And if it wasn't so funny, it would be frightening. But a cyber attack disables 11 French TV channels and takes over some of their social media sites in France. No, France is like England. They were trying to be very accepting of Muslims coming over there, and now all of a sudden they're being attacked left and right. A global French language television network struggled early today to regain its footing in contact with its audience after having been virtually disabled by a massive cyber attack the previous evening. In addition to all of its 11 channels, TV5 Monde also lost control of its social media outlets and its websites. The director of the company, Yves Bigot, B-I-G-O-T, bigot, I guess, in American, said in a video message posted later on Facebook on a mobile site that was still active, the network said it was hacked by an Islamic group. ISIS logos and markings appeared on TV5 Monde social media accounts, but there was no immediate claim of a responsibility by ISIS or any other group. So, look, you got the French over there. They're trying to be so nice and understanding, and letting them have their Sharia courts and letting them live in their own enclaves and keeping the white French policemen out of their enclaves and letting them have their own way, and basically just setting up their own little fiefdoms inside of France, and yet they still get attacked. And we have a bunch of liberals over here that just say, well, if we just leave them alone, they'll leave us alone. Well, France isn't over in the Middle East like we are, and they're pounding on them left and right. France is allowing them to set up their own little towns and have Sharia courts and Sharia law and all that kind of, and they're still getting pounded. So you tell me that if we leave them alone, they're going to leave us alone. Well, I think France is proof that that's not going to happen. They're not going to leave us alone. They're not. Hey, did you know this? Again, something else that the mainstream media just doesn't want you to know, I guess, because they're not putting it out there. I mean, I would think that this is important if this is a true story. Especially in light of, I don't want to, now, I don't know if I should tell you this, but I don't want to scare people because this is, now I'm going to be serious as a heart attack for a moment here, folks. This is a deadly, serious, and frightening proposition and thought, especially in light of this nuclear deal with Iran that our stupid president wants to ink with Iran. This is a Washington Times piece. Pay attention here, folks. We are heading into an era of technology that is far beyond our ability to fully control it. Iran is creating suicide drones that threaten Israel and the U.S. Navy, says the Pentagon. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. How about you have a country that is looking to get a nuclear bomb? They are known to be state sponsors of terrorists. They fight wars in the Middle East by proxy through ISIS and others. They have said time and time again that Israel needs to be wiped off the map. Israel does not have a right to exist. Not according to Iran. They don't. Israel does not have a right to exist. So now they are creating, by copying some technology, because they were able to somehow abscond with one of our drones. So they're copying the technology from drones, and probably getting some added technology from Putin to build their own drone. Now think about this: they're able to put a nuclear bomb, no matter how large, on a drone. You know how difficult it is to spot a drone? When a drone is in the air, it is very difficult, if not impossible, to see it with your naked eye or on radar. They're not easy to spot. Especially if you give them stealth technology, they're going to be virtually invisible. Put a nuclear bomb on that. Send it on a one-way trip to New York City. What happens? Look, we're entering a new technological age, folks. Yeah, we can play with these drones and go to Radio Shack and buy ourselves a drone and just have a good time with them, and try to catch our neighbors lying nude by their pool, trying to get a tan, and all that kind of stuff. And we can use drones and try to photograph the police being brutal and all that kind of stuff. But the truth is that is only scratching the surface. We're missing the big picture because we're too busy entertaining ourselves. What is going on is that other countries are developing drones too. We're not the only ones with them. They're developing these types of weapons for military use as well. They're not stupid. They can do it. Now, whether it happens next year or next decade, there is going to be a point where they're going to succeed. Then what are we going to do? We're not preparing ourselves for that. And in fact, we're giving away all the secrets, basically, just to placate them, because, if we play nice with them, if we help them create jobs, they'll stop being terrorists. No, BS. They're going to come after you. They're going to come after us. And they're going to use these drones. And they're going to attach nuclear bombs to them. And hey, look, it doesn't have to be big enough to blow up an entire city, but how about a couple of blocks? How about flying it into the Pentagon or the White House or the Capitol building or any other state building or any other state capitol or any city or any military base? Or how about a naval vessel? This is what the story's all about. This is CNN, folks. It must have rattled somebody over at CNN for them to put it up there now when Obama's trying to negotiate to give Iran nuclear capability. I wish I was making this stuff up. I can't. I don't have that kind of an imagination. I can't make this stuff up. So, look, we've got, in this country, we got the liberals that are so bent on trying to control everybody's thoughts and while at the same time eliminating the possibility of anybody controlling a woman's body, that they don't care that those Islamic terrorists over there are targeting the United States. They're targeting our children. They're targeting us. And even if we do leave them alone, France is proof positive. They don't care if you leave them alone. In fact, they'll just think that you're weak. Weak. And they want to